there's one specific analogy that sort of came to mind, interestingly enough. I don't know where I got this from, and perhaps, well, I hope I'm not stealing it from anybody, but while I was doing my readings and while I was going through all of the books I have and, generally taking care of myself, I've noticed that in particular, I feel like it's been much more beneficial for me to look at things from a very cosmic scale. And when I say cosmic, I mean really pull back. Looking at what we consider reality, or this illusion we call reality. I came to a weird sort of analogy, if you will. So I remember I was talking with some coworkers, some other people, even customers about this. When you get into those sort of in-depth questions and in-depth discussions, which I think are super valuable in your day-to-day life. But one in particular that came to mind was the tilling of the soil. We see essentially what looks like, the world being run by the ultra wealthy, the rich and everything. And before you click off, hold on, I'm not the type of person to get into that. I don't want to deal with the everyday societal bullshit that you see in a newspaper. I'm not talking about that, and nor will I ever talk about it, really. I like to keep things as open and general as possible because, with all due respect, it's all just human behavior. The only difference is a price tag, as far as I'm concerned, really. Otherwise, we are no better or worse than really anybody who is or isn't in charge. We're all the exact same because we're all the same person. But that is a different discussion. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into the specifics. However, in particular, one that popped up in my mind, sort of making a garden, right? So imagine if, let's say, you have a plot of land and, it's like chock full of like leaves and grass and bushes and like just plant everywhere, all over the place, right? Well, the average person or person in general is going to look at that and say, well, I want a rose garden, or I want to plant a bunch of flowers here, or I want a vegetable garden, or I just want to clean this up in general, right? So what do? You get your gloves on, you get your little tools, you get whatever it takes to garden. I'm not a gardener, by the way, so don't come for me either in that place because I have no idea. I'm talking very generally. I do not have a green thumb. It's not going to happen. However, you get your gloves on, you pick out the dandelions, right? You're taking the hoe, I believe, the one with all the prongs on it. Sure, you go in with that, you stick it into the ground and you start shifting it around and twisting it. You're adding new fertilizer or soil or whatever the case may be. You're taking out any of like the old dead bushes and dead sticks and leaves and really anything that is not going to help you grow your rose garden or your vegetable garden or whatever it is you're growing, right? And then what do? You now have a landscape, so you plant everything, you water everything, you put in the correct food for the plant. The plant grows and it turns into this beautiful garden after a couple of months or even years, depending on what it is you grow. But ultimately, your end goal comes to fruition because you built this thing and it looks great. You don't think about what it looked like before, or even if you did, you're more so talking to like friends who visit your house and are like, oh my god, this is your garden, it's fantastic, right? Or like people visiting in general, they love your garden, they think it's absolutely beautiful, oh my gosh. And other gardeners where you show them, yeah, this is what it used to look like, and this is what I did over the course of X amount of time. And everyone's like, oh wow, you did put in so much work, that's crazy. So I think about that, and I seriously do think that there are some people who see the world as a garden, or I do think there are people out there who see the world and say, there is a lot of weeds and stuff in here that need to get cleaned out because I want a different type of garden. Because when you think about it, you're not looking at a dandelion, ripping it out of the ground with its roots and being like, this poor dandelion. Oh my god, I need to put this dandelion somewhere because it's just lived here and I'm ruining its home. No, it's get the hell out of my soil. You don't take that fork, prong, hoe, whatever thing. I'll put an image up or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't do that, stick it in the ground, ripping up the ground. And you're not thinking about, oh, but these ants have lived here for so long. and like their anthill, I'm ruining it. I should probably put those ants somewhere before I do this. I'm displacing them. Oh no. No, you don't think about that. It's like get out of my soil. You don't think about any of the worms or the bugs or any of those things as you are making your garden. You don't do that. You simply do what's needed to create your foundation. Because your foundation, when all of it's said and done, looks like a barren wasteland. It looks flat. There's nothing in here anymore. It's just dirt. But it's that dirt that becomes the potential of being a flourishing garden. And I do firmly believe that we focus so much on the ants and the dandelions that, because we are the ants and the dandelions. I'm sure as hell an ant or a dandelion or whatever bug or worm it's in there. I'm no gardener, as I've clearly very much established, but there are people who have become gardeners. And they don't really think about all the tiny little life forms that are inside of their soil because they want it to be something else. They want to create. The unfortunate part about creation is that you're going to have to till the soil. Something has to get removed. Some things have to be tossed away. You cannot think about every single life form or every single step of the way while you're creating your new garden. And the unfortunate bit is we've all been taught to stay being dandelions and ants because, well, that's what keeps us together. And yet we have gardeners who are completely independent of that, who are making the reality for themselves because that's what they want, right? And it's kind of depressing to think about it when you apply it to people. It does leave a bit of a sting to that. It's like, I'm not an ant, I'm a person. How are you just going to think I'm an ant? And yet the thing is, it's not that because they think you're an ant, it's because they don't think of you at all. And that's not out of hatred or disgust. I firmly believe it is just indifference. Something that I've been pushing towards, especially recently, is the idea of I no longer want to be an ant or a dandelion. I don't want that. It's not because I'm trying to put people in certain places. It's not because I hate certain people. If anything, I'm learning to love regardless. Every human is someone that's worthy of love because I am, of course, another human, so I am worthy of love as well. However, in that being said, I need to be able to start becoming a gardener and start making my garden and start creating what it is I want to see. And it doesn't matter what scale of wealth you're on or what status you're on. When you start creating a garden for yourself, you have to till the soil. It needs to be removed and it needs to become essentially what looks like a wasteland to become a beautiful garden. And something that put things into perspective, especially when it came to the pursuit of what it is that I want. You have to till the soil. You have to get rid of certain things. You have to pull the weeds. You have to till the ground. And then you have to water and fertilize and feed it correctly to be able to grow something else. And that takes dedication to do so. It takes a goal and a focus and being able to believe that you can build that garden. I always like discussing these things, even with random people. I have a knack for doing that. Let's create that community where we're all starting to realize we all just can't still be ants. And a lot of us don't want to be ants, but we feel bad for wanting to become gardeners and not stay with the dandelions.